My mom was the first one to ever break my heart.
I was going to ask you about that, but you got there, so talk to me about it, yeah.
Yeah, imagine being in the office and a cop's there and an apartment there, and he's like, yeah, this man beat your son. You hear me? And my mama get that, she like, boy, you know I hit you. You know I whooped you because you was acting up. My mom said. Oh. And it broke my soul, bro. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. You know what I'm saying? It's the first time like that I could remember. Because anything prior to that, you know.
Yeah, you know, it was.
I don't know. It probably was some other stuff going on. I don't know. But that's the one that I remember. And I'm looking at her and my soul broke. And then we ended up going back to the house with dude and he whooped me again to where I couldn't sit down the next day at school. I literally had to grace myself, pace myself, prepare myself to sit down in a chair the next day after already getting punched and have bruises and everything. So that was the first documented time that I remember, you know what I'm saying, having my heart broke. So fast forward, you know what I'm saying, he ended up taking me back to St. Louis. Years passed, the streets grew me up fast, brother. So by the time I'm 15, I'm really 23, right? In my mind. I've seen too much. I'm out in the streets. I'm getting around by metro. Like I'm seeing too much. You know what I'm saying? I'm experiencing too much stuff that I'm not supposed to really experience. Then, you know, I got involved in some stuff that I knew that I was finna have to get active. You know what I mean? So, but I had a like, you know, I can't say unless you're in the streets, but some people may be able to understand this, but I had a gut feeling of like that. It's weird. Like I had it. It was a gut feeling. Something happened. So, you know, and I already know how I got involved in the school, and people was calling my house phone, you know, and that's where my sister's off. So I went to my mom. I was like, I need to go somewhere for the summer. And she like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I need to get away. Like, I'm really talking to her like that. It's like, where you want to go? All first I ever been was Houston, Texas. So I'm like, I want to go to Houston. And she like, where you want to go? I was like, do you still have Ms. Johnson number? You know what I'm saying? So she called Ms. Johnson.
That was the apartment manager?
No, that was the late. So I met two friends. That was one of their moms. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yeah. So they answered, and my mom was like, yeah, AJ, you want to come visit for the summer? You know what I'm saying? She was like, yeah, you know, because they remember the 10-year-old me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I wasn't that no more. Yeah. So I came here and I was, I came to Houston rather, and I was different. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't the purity had been stripped at this point. You know what I'm saying? They let me in, man, and I came to them. I already had my hair twisted because I was starting my locks at the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to Tupac on a CD player. You're like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm thugging. You know what I mean? And I get in the car, they listen to gospel music. You know what I'm saying? And it was just word. You know what I mean? I don't know nothing about that. You know what I mean? So I go to their house, and it just was the worst 2 weeks of my life because it was the most disciplined 2 weeks of my life. You know what I mean? They waking me up. They talking about going to church. You heard me? They talking about you can't listen to this, pull your pants up. And so I call my bird. I'm like, I need to go and come back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. And she was like, okay, cool. The day I was leaving, Miss Johnson came to me crying. She said God showed her a dream that I was beating on the door. When she opened the door, I had bullet holes all in my back, and I died. I fell on the ground and I died. And she was like, don't go back. You're going to get shot. Don't go back. And I'm like, you know, I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? So 2 years later, 2 days later, sorry. 2 days later, I got shot. You know what I mean? And she was the first person that was called. Because I said, when I got shot and I'm in the hospital, I said, call Ms. Johnson. And she started praying. I heard her praying on the phone. You hear me? And my mom then was like, you know you leaving. And I'm like, you know, but I'm battling because I just earned my stripes. I got shot in Savannah. I lost my partners that night, though. I lost a couple of them. But I got shot in Savannah. And but I was battling it. I was scared too, though. Yeah, I ain't gonna get on her. I was scared too. You know what I mean? Like somebody tried to murder me. So it was a battle. But my mom was like, "Nah, battle or not, like you're leaving. Yeah, and you're not coming back." And I was, that's all I knew. You know what I'm saying? And it tore me up. But so now I end up in a whole other city, back to St. John's, and they took me in regardless of whatever, you know what I'm saying? And gave me shelter. And that's where my journey started. You know what I mean? Like that's where, but I come from the trenches. I come from war zone. I come from, you know what I mean, poverty. I come from famine though, food deserts. You know what I mean? And somebody tried to take my life. So I got sent away, and that started
the journey of healing. So you were 15 when you got sent to Houston.
Yeah.
How long did you live with them?
I was there for a few years. And then I got kicked out. You know what I'm saying? So, because it wasn't, I don't want to make it sound like it was like, he got shot, got sent away, and his life changed. No, my life rough. Yeah, I was still connected to the streets in many ways. You know what I mean? So I wore,
in Houston or still in Houston?
Okay, I wore red every day. So I stood. So it was a battle. And they wanted me to
change.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it was a battle. It was a real battle. So and they wanted me to cut my hair. You know what I mean? I was growing locks at the time. You know what I'm saying? But they wanted me to cut my hair. So all of it was disrespectful.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I was a child. You know what I'm saying? I was a child. So and I'm in a foreign land.
Yeah.
I'm homesick. I don't have my mom, my daddy, my sister, my grandma, nobody. You hear me? Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out my life. I ain't got no money, nothing. You know what I mean? For years, I'm wearing the same clothes, every other day. You know what I mean? And I'm in high school, right? So you'll think, this the time where you, bro, I ain't had nothing. You know what I mean? So, but Miss Johnson ended up kicking me out, but she was going through a lot too, because I walked in on her being abused by her husband.
Oh,
so it really messed me up because her husband was the first man outside of St. Louis that I ever met, and I respected because he was a man of God. You know what I mean? He's a military man, taught me how to make my bed up and things. But I watched him. I walked in. The son wasn't even there. He stayed at the school for a school program. I saw it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, God had me see it. I saw it, and it shook me up because, you taught me what you taught me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
so how can you be this way and still,
So then everything spiraled from there. He left. He had a whole family on the other side of town the whole time.
Oh, man.
So it just shook me up. You know what I mean? Because that's all I saw him. I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It shook me up, and, I walked in on it. And so eventually she started, everything, got kicked out, got evicted.
Yeah.
Couch hopping. I stayed with multiple people with that. While I was staying with them. And then eventually I got kicked out, you know what I mean, for being whatever, disrespectful or, whatever her perspective is. But we passed that, for also giving all that, right? Yeah. But then I end up on somebody else's couch, and I remember walking down the street, multiple streets with a trash bag full of clothes and with nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? So I would go to school, and then somebody would hear that I ain't got nowhere to go, and they were like, "You come on, get in the car."
Yeah.
And I'm over there for a week, 2.
Yeah.
But I always had a sense of, I don't know, man, like purpose, bro. Like it's even in the streets.
Talk about that.
Even in the streets, I've always it was stuff that would happen that I just knew. Like, and I ain't never had nobody tell me, don't do this, don't do that. But it was just it was a sense of purpose and a sense of compassion. And I always defended people. You hear me? I always defended people against bullying. And I've just always been like that. I was a leader of wherever I was at, I was a leader. You know what I'm saying? So that sense of purpose just kept me, that sense of God, bro. I believe that God had his hand on me my whole life. Yeah, I was born 3 pounds 6 ounces. You know what I mean? So I was creamy with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck too. You know what I mean? I was in the incubator for 6 months. So my mom said she didn't even know how to survive for real. You know what I mean? So I always had a sense of purpose, and I believe I'm chosen for real. And so, but I went through some of my darkest times ever. When I was going back and forth to Houston and all that, I was traveling by myself, brother. Like I was young. Right? Yeah, I ain't had no chaperones.